Hi there, and thank you so much for joining today's expert session. My name is Andrea Andres, and I am your host and the creator of the Skin, Body, Spirit Summit. So this event brings together the best holistic skincare and wellness experts in the industry to teach you how to take care of your skin from a place of knowledge, love, and intuition so that you finally can feel confident in the skin that you're in. Disclaimer: the information and other content provided in this video, Skin Body Spirit Summit's website, or any linked materials are not intended and should not be considered or used as a substitute for medical advice, diagnosis, or treatment. It is for your informational purposes only, and any of this information is used at your own risk. If you or any other person has a medical concern, you should consult with your healthcare provider or seek other professional medical treatment immediately. The Skin Body Spirit Summit's website does not guarantee accuracy nor completeness of the information and content on it. This website and its owners, contributors, and assignees expressly disclaim any and all responsibility for any liability. In no event shall we be liable for direct, indirect, consequential, or other damages related to your use of the information on our website. This information has not been evaluated or approved by any governmental administration and is not necessarily based on scientific evidence from any source. The information provided intends to support general well-being and does not intend to treat, diagnose, mitigate, prevent, or cure any conditions or disease. Welcome back to the Skin, Body, Spirit Summit. And today we have a very special guest, Kassandra Kiel. And I'm so happy you're here, Kassandra. We have so much to talk about, but limited time. So let's just, get into it. We are going to talk about the interplay of the mind, stored trauma, and self-love and care for women to heal and live radiantly. And before we go into that, let me introduce Kassandra to you. So she is the host of an amazing podcast, the Awaken Beauty podcast, and creator of the Life in Bloom Blueprint. Kassandra is a visionary and multi-passionate entrepreneur. She's the founder of Beauty Ecology Organic Salon, product formulator for Evoke Beauty, clinical hypnotherapist, intuitive and quantum energy practitioner. Kassandra's core mission is to help high-achieving women to burn brightly and lead boldly without burning out. And passionate about women fulfilling their purpose, Kassandra takes a stand for women to no longer sacrifice physical and mental health to the altar of hustle and grind, of climbing to the top, trying to prove their worth. And passionate about living her highest potential, she shines a light on the path for others to expand beyond the perceived limitations and live as the master creators that they are while remaining grounded in the modern world. So Kassandra, big welcome to you.
Thank you so much. I've been waiting for so long to get on this summit because you are the queen of hosting such incredible guests. So it is truly an honor and a blessing to be here.
Oh, you're so sweet. And, I'm such a fan of your podcast. Even, it's like, you have so many episodes there that are just so great. So, your products are just beautiful. I would love to have a hairdresser like you around, where I live. I don't. So it's just, what you do is just really incredible. And, the words you're using, how you describe, it's just so really holistic. It's very holistic. And that's why we're here, right? So I wanted to ask you shortly to give us an introduction about, your journey. How did you end up where you are right now?
Yeah, absolutely. It's, I'll kind of keep it brief, but if I were to go all the way back, I was writing up, I do a lot of writing and that's how I get into flow. And I was writing an email about why women are so mean to each other. And it had me reflecting this morning, knowing I was going to do this interview, is that ever since I was very, very little, everybody, you would play lawyer or teacher, or I want to be a mother. I always knew I wanted to be in the beauty business and empowerment business. And so at the age of 12, I was going to the salon with my mom. And then, the owner would let me kind of get my hands dirty and, rinse out perm rods. So I started working in salons when I was 14. And I managed our in-home, small, tiny little salon and just kind of helping run the front desk and everything when I was in high school. And then right after high school, I knew exactly what I wanted to do. And I went to Aveda Institute. And so it is definitely in my bones. And I'm very blessed to know that what I wanted to do from the start is something I've gotten to live my whole life, although it has evolved. So, if you understand Aveda, if people aren't familiar with Aveda Institute, Horst Redenbacher is probably one of the first and incredible pioneers in natural beauty and holistic beauty. And I'm lucky because he lives around my area in Minnesota. And I've spent many weekends with him and his retreat center, and was really kind of a pilot with a lot of other salon owners to really see how he was creating this entire ecosystem about how we prep products, what we put in products. Later, we know now that they were bought out by Estee Lauder. That's just another story and what they represent now. But in the process of, I think a lot of stylists, you win all of the, product things that you could, more sales that you would elevate yourself as a stylist. So I kind of elevated myself enough where I was ready to leave the salon as an employee with Aveda, and then really start figuring out how could I start to create. And was the intersection where that started to kind of really become for me is that I started to get migraines and headaches at work. And the salon industry, especially rental salons, is very busy. It's very hustle and grind. And I could no longer be in the salon industry. Very interesting. So I had to create my own path. And in that intersection, I became a Pilates teacher, and I went back and started going to school for functional medicine. And I will never forget the experience I had sitting in, the elevated chairs, like a PhD is sitting down in front and you're in the stadium at a college. And he started putting things in a blender. And this is one of the greatest functional medicine grandfathers in our industry today, Bob Rakowski. And he's putting everything in there. And he said, this is what we know and what we are using for the pandemic vaccinations. And I thought, wow, we're in for a trip. 20 years later, I knew that our health of our society, many women would not be able to walk into a conventional salon because of already the reactions I was seeing then. So from that interception, I went and created the first organic salon. And from there, I've had 3 salons. And that's where I really fell in love with product development and creating products and meeting with different labs and really figuring all of this out so that I could have women truly experience natural and organic beauty that said they were natural and said they were organic and lived up to those standards. So that was the inception. So and it's just kind of grown after that.
Yes, you really did. You really have a calling. That's amazing. And yeah, I love your aha moments as well. It's wow. That's I want to hear the long story one day. So, okay, let's get to the topic. So what do you mean by the interplay, of the mind and store trauma and self-love and care for women?
Yeah, absolutely. So I think it's important to understand, just not to help people understand, I am a clinical hypnotherapist and I have a lot of background with biofeedback and energetics. So it really comes from personal experience. But as a hairstylist and a salon owner, we are in our clients' fields every day. And for a lot of hairstylists, individuals such as yourself, we're very creative individuals. And very creative individuals typically are often also entrepreneurs. Entrepreneurs also have a 300% increase of what we call neurodiversity, which would be ADHD or some kind of realm of that. So we're very, very big thinkers. We really like to be in our craft and in our flow. And so understanding that I have a natural tendency to pick up energy around me all the time, I could see beyond the person in my chair always. And so when I went back and got my clinical hypnotherapy training so that I could start to do conversational hypnosis in my chair and support my women at another level, everything just was like wide opening for me to see how women speak to themselves, listening to the frequency of the language that they say, watching, and women, I'm sure you do this at the salon, and or if you're a practitioner, you see your clients doing that. The first thing that they do when they sit down and they start going like this, oh my God, I just need to. And so there's this interaction that we have with our sense of beauty and our sense of sovereignty and owning our beauty that is very disconnected for women from inception, quite frankly. And so energetically, we are energetic first. We are frequency that have 5 different bodies of consciousness. And what you and I are relating to right now is this densest physical part of the body, which is the frequency. It collapses down into density. But what we're not aware of and how we affect others and how others affect us, especially if you're really intuitive or creative like us, is that we carry and we start to bring in other people's frequencies, and we don't have good practices to kind of free ourselves of them after work, or understanding if it's ours or somebody else's, or even my mom's. You know, for so many years, I kept on trying to heal myself, but what I realized was I kept on trying to, a large part of it, not all of my mom, it was my heart for her, is I kept trying to heal her trauma so she could be free. And so there's so many different layers and levels to this, but bringing it back to beauty, how we speak to ourselves, how the stylist then can redirect the moment that the client starts pulling on their bags and saying all these bad things about themselves. So that's where I really use conversational hypnosis to really help women look for, okay, what is it that you do want? How do you want to feel when you get that? And really help women step out of that and into really releasing what they actually want and not what society tells them.
Wow, this is really, really cool. I mean, imagine going to a hairdresser or to an appointment, right? A facial, and then someone stops you while you're like, oh, today I'm not looking. I even do that, you know, when you said it, it's like, oh, my hair's horrible today, you know, it's like, that's crazy. So how do you, as a, you know, as a practitioner, as a therapist, how do you help? Like, how can we become better? Like, how can we help our clients? What do you do? This is like super interesting.
Well, you know, kind of what I was saying before is, you know, we're not one dimensional. We are really made up of these 5 bodies of consciousness. And I think, you know, everything starts at a, for us, we view it that everything starts at a mental level, but everything really starts at an energetic level. So I think, you know, the first and foremost thing is, how can we become more aware? Because without awareness, we can't bring the unconscious to the conscious. And those feedback loops of whether it's trauma or feedback loops of what we feel that we should be represented by in society and who we should be and what we should look like, we'll never get to the root of that. And so I think it's number one, first and foremost, really important that you have women, we all have women around us that can help us hold ourselves accountable to really viewing ourselves in a different light. You know, we are all mirrors of each other. And when we judge another woman, we hate to hear this, but we're actually judging ourselves because we're seeing something in them that we're actually judging ourselves of. So as above, so below. And what I mean by that is we must be causal in our life versus living to the effect of it. So here's what I mean by that. Let's just say, I've got magazines in the back of the salon. I no longer carry People magazine or movie star, pop star magazines because it's a false platitude that is so fine tuned on that picture that it's completely unachievable. Nor do I want to be a Hollywood movie star. Not my gig, right? Why do we want to aspire to that? And so getting really present with ourselves and saying, okay, what am I looking at? What is reflecting back to me? And is this true? And how could I think about that differently? To become aware of our thoughts, first and foremost. So the women that we're around, our ecosystem, what are we listening to? What are we reading? All of that really takes an account of all those micro movements and micro systems that we're embedded in each day to start to untrance ourselves. I'm a hypnotherapist. I am not putting people in a trance at all. I am unhypnotizing them. So for instance, I really love your blue shirt that you're wearing today.
I love that.
I love your blue shirt.
Sorry?
I love your blue shirt.
Blue shirt.
So here's my example. It's a great first pass, right?
Oh my
so
God. Yeah,
we are constantly letting things into our brain and they just kind of come down into our subconscious without even talking or thinking secondly about it. Right. And so if I were to say, look at my hand right here, see my aura ring, see the silver, see all the different, at least I don't have any hair color on my hand today. You can feel your consciousness and your prefrontal cortex get more activated as you look at my hand. Versus let's just go back and just think about what you had to eat today, for lunch, and how was that? And did you enjoy it? And I absolutely love the beautiful, beautiful red plant behind you. It's awesome. Your red plant is pretty great. It's a green plant.
Yes.
So we need to, my point to this exercise is to become aware of the things that are coming in. And if we're not aware of the things that are coming in, unfortunately, they sink down into your subconscious and they start to become your identity.
Exactly.
So that's one example.
Exactly. It's like the autopilot, that we are on.
Yeah, absolutely. The autopilot, which is to that point, what's really interesting, a lot of my research and someone that's neurodiverse and highly creative, I call it, we really truly are twice exceptional. I really believe that because, we are the, crisis management when we go into crises like this in the world. Entrepreneurs and people like us jump in and we create the difference in the world. We start that catalyst. And so autopilot happens by having a very active default mode network. So the default mode network is what keeps us on default. And it is that part of the brain that's way back here, kind of on the lower back. And, I share this a lot with entrepreneurial ADHD women is that, oftentimes trauma affects how we address our business. And we bring our past trauma into how we run our business, and the different attachment issues that we have, we then bring those into our business. And so the default mode network, if we have trauma or if we're constantly back in that rumination and anxiety and kind of depressive kind of frequency and energy, it just gets bigger and bigger. So what we don't see come back and then we start worrying about it, can amplify up to 200%. And what happens is we start this feedback loop in the back of our limbic brain that we never can come back into being conscious in the prefrontal activation of our brain, living truly as a co-creator in our life. So that default mode network gets harmed as a young girl by either the attachment style of our mother. She's very cognizant of you. She's very interactive with you. If you feel abandoned, that default mode network actually has a larger amount of gray matter, meaning you have a much higher chance of having depression, anxiety, addiction, mental health issues as you get older. And that starts to activate after the age of 7, when you start going through that individuation process of trying to become your own self. And you realize, nope, you got to go back to and retract back to that default mode network that you were kind of a sponge in when you were a child. So that's how primitive we really are. And to start thinking about not to go fix yourself, because that's another issue I have. Major issue with the beauty industry and the personal development industry. It is a $13 billion industry for a reason, to make you think that you need to continue to fix yourself, that you need the next X, Y, or Z from Chanel, that you need this kind of trend. And now everybody's doing extensions. So now you see every woman with extensions. We are pattern recognition people, but if we're not making that choice because we really want to do that, it feels awesome, it makes me feel more like me, versus the latter is trying to fix ourselves so that we can feel and fill that pain that we have from that default mode network. It's an entirely different way that we live our lives. When I say lead boldly and burn brightly and abundantly, because we are infinite potential, and that's how we stop ourselves. And so that's where I have to go with that.
Yes, that is beautiful. And it's exactly, if we, oh my God, there's so many thoughts coming up, because if we, cut through all the noise and find and trust our own path, then, it has so many, positive effects, on ourselves, like you were saying, on our friends that are around us, or other women. Are we judging other women? Like you were saying, we judge ourselves. And I mean, where's that taking us, right? If we continue on that road, where's that taking us and other people and, society? And it's very, very interesting, what you say and how you work with that actually, in your daily business, not having all those magazines. Just that is like making a stand, right? Mm-hmm. And so, when you look back, when you started in the industry and where you are today, what's like the main differences? So where do you see everything heading?
Well, that's a big loaded question, because I have my hands in a lot of different things. But, for me right now, I'm really helping beauty professionals and health professionals and coaches and industry leaders really start to address how we bring trauma into our business. We are seeing a huge explosion right now of entrepreneurs that are starting side gigs. Like for instance, for you, you're doing this beautiful summit. To me, I would consider that a side gig. And you also have your beautiful services that you do. And so how do we evolve as women and really own what I call our multi-hyphenate identity? For so many years, I really struggled with sharing with my clients the different things that I was doing outside of the salon. And I always kind of felt guilty about it, because I felt like I was taking the focus away from them. but it's been such a honor now to really own all of my hybridities. And so I really want to encourage women, especially if you're a professional in this industry. What I do with women is I really kind of go through this 4B blueprint where we understand how energy and mind management affects our brain, our biology, our beauty, and our bioenergetics. And so, the way I see beauty shifting is the way I am choosing to shift it. So I work with clients with biofeedback resonance. Clients send me their voice, and I also do group hypnotherapy for entrepreneurs that really help us understand that in such a time of uncertainty, we now have the science to prove that if we continue to try to meet that next level and we still have that attached trauma, we'll always end up in this constrictive feedback loop of starting and stopping and just feeling like we fail ourselves, which isn't it at all. And for any coach or any beauty coach to say you just need to work on your mindset, in my opinion, and I'll be brave to say this, I think it's complete bullshit. Because if we understand that there's underlying pinnings that are just unconscious to us, it is my responsibility to help that person through understanding what the root is first from a bottom-up approach. So no longer can we start to address our personal development as beauty professionals from a top-down cognitive way. We know that 75% plus of the body informs the brain does not inform the body. And we're taking that in from our proprioceptive ecosystem all the time. Are we safe? Are we not safe? And so I think that's one of the most important things where I see the beauty industry moving is that we see a lot of different industry leaders. And for me, it comes down to helping them understand the frequency. So I have a phone, they give me their voice and photo. I have everything from libraries for stress management, to skincare, to aging, to DNA regulation. So I can really see what's going on in the biofield of what's going on beneath the surface that they're not even aware of. That allows us to bring those harmonies back into balance so that our stress state and our stagnant state can kind of come back into equilibrium. So we start to feel better as we move into this next level of uncertainty in our world today. Then, yes, if you want to work on mindset, I work with women and I'm a flow consultant. So I help them understand 2 assessments, your genius frequency, so you understand your elemental archetype, and then also your wealth dynamics test so that you can understand the one path to wealth that is right and true for you. There are 8 paths to wealth that Roger Hamilton has figured out through this assessment, which is originated from the I Ching book of Chinese medicine, as well as Carl Jung's work around consciousness, specifically for entrepreneurs such as you or I, so that you can start saying yes to the things that you should be doing and no to the things that you shouldn't be doing, because far too many of us as women continue to try to fix our weaknesses versus standing in our strengths. And you, unfortunately, and I will die trying to fix ourselves to have never truly lived. And so between those different things, as far as where I see the industry going is energetics, bioenergetics, as neuroscience and Joe Dispenza and Lynn Taggart bring that to fruition, understanding your entrepreneurial archetype so that you can find your right path to wealth and then connect that path to wealth to other people's flow. Which brings me to next is that we are in a co-creation post industry right now. So we really have seen these different societies, grow over time. And right now we're in this new society that is going to be about AI, Web 0.3, virtual reality. Some of the top leading beauty industries are already creating NFTs, which are kind of like a token. When you buy their NFT, you get all these valuable things from them. So what I'm seeing is this shift happening very, very fast. And so my purpose is to help these individuals that are entrepreneurs get really clear on what their gifts are, get really clear how that then fits into the new economies at scale, and then help them resolve the trauma every single glass ceiling they're wanting to hit in group hypnotherapy so that we can really come together and support each other as professionals. And so that's really where I see a lot of the industry going with different new technologies and the way that we relate to each other.
Exactly. And like like you're saying as well, I think it's so important to be able to navigate all of it, right? By being, updating our mindset instead of just adding on more stuff, basically.
Yeah,
It's
super
like
important.
updating the OS instead of adding more apps.
I love that. That is exactly it. Like, you got a phone in your hand. Let's just upgrade the system versus trying to keep plugging it in to get some juice out of it.
Exactly. Yes, this is so interesting. And yes, it's so true. We're heading more to the energetical side and more the conscious side of it. And at the same time, it's such a jungle to navigate, right? So, yes. Oh my God.
I want to add one more thing in there that I thought is really, really interesting based on some different research that Dr. Mario Martinez does. And this goes back to the biopsychosocial and how we are just natural creatures. And so he did some really interesting studies on, so now I'm going to speak to women that are getting older in the beauty industry and how we can reinvent ourselves all the time. And he has some fascinating studies around women in South America. Now I'm going to talk about endocrine, menopause, things of that nature as we start to shift as women, and how important the frequency of the directed thoughts you bring into your ecosystem. Women going through menopause in South America, the doctors look at them and treat them as shame. And so every single time a woman meets menopause, this, next phase of their life, they feel this incredible shame, and their life expectancy is significantly shorter than women in Asia. And women in Asia look at menopause in that next phase of their life as the next new spring. So just that alone is so fascinating to me on how we, as women, as we get older, we start freaking out, trying to do all these things to ourselves. And what we're doing is we're telling our mind, our psyche, and our energetic frequency to constrict, to get very, very worried and dense in our contraction. Creates oxidative stress and inflammation, and it just ages us faster. So versus compressed time, thinking about elongated time of, I have so much time ahead of me to really enjoy and continue to reinvent myself and support other women and be of service to people in my community. That's where the centenarians really live to be 120 years old. So I thought that was really, really interesting. And one piece I wanted to throw in there.
That is super interesting.
Isn't it?
Oh my God. Yes. So can I ask you, because we mentioned trauma, right? In the topic headline. So, where do we store trauma in the body, and how can we release this? If someone is watching and they feel they have some old trauma and they have a hard time to release it. I mean, we can't fix it right now in just a couple of minutes, right? But just maybe a little thought about this.
Yeah, absolutely. So trauma it can be complex, but it's also very, very, very simple. So there's the complex part is we are not just our trauma. Gary Flint and Joe Dispenza and a lot of these scientists in neuroscience have truly been able to prove that we carry in the lineage of our ancestors' trauma. So that was important, where I linked back to, I felt so much heaviness from wanting to help heal my mom and set her free. And the other piece about trauma and where it's stored is based off of my research with Brett Baum and Gary Flint and Lynn McTaggart, is that going back to the 5 bodies of consciousness, we are holographic. We are a full circle, a part of another circle, part of another circle, all the way out into the ecosystem of the galaxies. We are a representation of just a tiny little wave in the big ocean of consciousness. So trauma gets stored when we kind of go from this, what I call like T3 to T12 moment in a glitch. So when you're a baby or you're someone that doesn't have the coping mechanisms or the ability to shield yourself from something so intense, there's a glitch in the system and it gets stored energetically in the body. A lot of people say the issues are in the tissues, but it's actually like in the resonance field of you. Oftentimes, to be able to remove it, we have to go beyond the cognitive mind and we have to speak to the body consciousness mind, which is through what we call the VACOG, which is the visual, the sight, the smell, the color, all of that. So that's why you'll hear a lot of hypnotherapists talk about if you can you feel that in the body? Where is it at in the body? What would that have to say to you? When did you first feel that? So I am really laser sharp on let's get to the root right away and then finish that peeling that onion over time when things come up versus constantly feeling like you need to go to the therapist, like you just need to get rid of all your trauma. It's not how it works. It's actually more important to focus on what you want in life and create that creative tension towards your purpose and your passion. There are more studies that have been done in the last 2 years on purpose than there were between the years of like 1954 and 2011, like triple them. Why? Because we're just trying to feel a sense of purpose and that we have a space in this life. And so, the trauma really is by releasing, understanding what happened to us, going back and desensitizing that event so that that trauma can leave in the stored body so that every single time something that's attached to it isn't triggering you. And then being able to have a purpose and a vision that's so much bigger than you that you can't help every single morning be like, yep, that's where I'm going. I love it so much just because I love it, not to try to get out of pain. So that's one way. There's many ways that I help women with trauma, but I think that's just the overall encompassing of how to get that energetic storage out of the body.
Exactly. Yes, wonderful. And so do you have, before we finish off, do you have any tips for us, to cut through the overwhelm that's out there in the beauty industry? And what can we do at home? Yes.
You bet. Well, say I'm 2 PhDs. I'm a professional hairdresser, and the other one is to help women find their purpose, understand their history, and really find that direction. And so, I think, for bonuses or what I can offer women is there's a lot of things. And I think that what I'll do is I'll create one link that can go towards a bunch of guides about how to support your endocrine system to help aging. I have my own Evoke Beauty product line. And so I'm happy to offer you, basically, it's a really awesome discount to our organic, small batch, live food skincare line. And what you'll get is I constructed like the circadian rhythm of our skin and understanding again how we are a microcosm of the bigger macrocosm and how your skin circadian rhythm, actually, if you can get into sync with that and create rituals around that, it not only connects you to yourself, when you're putting on your lotion or your serum or your booster, that the conversation isn't, I'm trying to get rid of my wrinkles, but to really fulfill this sensory experience that you're going through of what went good during my day. Or before you go to bed is the most powerful time to reprogram your mind and to just, sometimes I'll fall in love with my inner, what they call the inner child. Even I'm not going to go into that, but more so it's about falling in love with just going and playing with that 5-year-old self of me on a playground. And it frees the mind into the imagination, into the sense of awe, which is one of the highest vibrations. And so these are just different ways that we can do that. But for sure, I'm going to give you you access to the PDF guide of understanding your circadian rhythm of the skin. And then it has a really nice and short what I call neuro meditation to help support you with that and kind of get into the flow of your skin rituals. And then I've got a bunch of different PDFs on how to support women with the overwhelm, because I know that's something that I really have struggled with as well.
Oh, yes. Wow, that is wonderful. Such wonderful gifts. And I mean, I will link, everything below, of course. And yes, I'm thinking when you were talking, I was thinking, pleasure, that we just experience, that we have fun, that we have pleasure, that it's nice to touch, our skin in the evening and to lie in bed and, whatever. So yes,
Oh,
yeah,
I love that so much.
I love everything you said today. It's so, so interesting. And please tell us where we can find you, where we can connect with you. Yes, and any last thoughts that you have for us today.
I'm just so thankful. I'm just truly, truly grateful. I get so excited to talk about this stuff. And like I said, I mean, my mission really truly is for, I'll put it succinctly, is to really help women in the creative industry, the health and beauty industry. They're so brilliant, but often overwhelmed, and wear many hats and different hybridities to really create their own beautiful hybridity name. So like, I'm an overly practical mystic because I love the science and I also understand the woo. And so how can you uniquely show up that's very empowered, right? And so I think that's just so, so important on how we direct our professional life moving forward out of this whole transition over the last year. And to understand that the co-creative, the co-collaboration of all of us as women is really how we're all going to be elevated. And we can say it, but to actually do it, you're actually starting to remove the trauma by trusting, moving in and supporting another woman. That also teaches her like, wow, I want to do the same for somebody else. So, between the professional development, helping you understand your genius, then moving into the trauma and come be a part of our group hypnotherapy sessions and some other things in the future around Web3 and starting to create virtual reality in the metaverse around beauty and hypnotherapy and meditation. There's a lot coming forward down our chute that gives you a lot of opportunity to really start to expand what you think you can do and what you actually can do.
Exactly. And where can we find you? The best,
I forgot to answer your question.
No problem.
So you can find me on Instagram. I'm all over the place on Instagram. So Kassandra Keel, KASSANDRA _underline and then KUEHL. And then my biofeedback program is called highvibehealthandbeauty.com. And you can find about biofeedback. Even if you're a beauty practitioner, if you want to learn how you can actually support your clients on a whole nother level that will make them mind blown and add a side gig to your career, would love to support you in doing that. I help women do it all the time. And then the hypnotherapy is just Life in Bloom hypnotherapy. And then right now I'm starting another cohort of professional women that want to do group hypnosis as they start to really set that next level in their career and help them through that trauma that they no longer need to bring with them. So Instagram, I will go ahead and show the bonus links to you, and then Evoke Beauty, EVOQ beauty.com is all of our beauty products.
Yes, and they sound amazing. And yes, I will link everything below. Kassandra, this was such a pleasure. We just stay in touch. And yes, thank you so, so much for joining today and, sharing all your wisdoms. We just touched the surface. This is amazing. Incredible.
I think the world of you. I truly do. And your whole community. So I really appreciate what you're doing. It's so important. And I really view you as a leader. So, much gratitude to you.
Thank you so much.
You bet. Have a great day, guys. Much love, all my light. And we'll see you next year on the next summit.
Thank you so much for listening. Please share your biggest takeaway from this session in our inclusive Skin, Body, Spirit Summit community on Facebook. And I would love it if you told us a little bit more about yourself, why you are excited about the summit, and feel free to share your number one question or struggle when it comes to your skin. And below this video, you will find more information about today's expert and how to access their amazing bonus.